I called it the longest day of my life, but it's probably, well, it was a long day, but it was also an exhausting day. So definitely the most tired I've ever been in my life during this event. So here we go. All right, so I have a friend named Kailani. She's from China, goes to BYU. She does like ROTC and stuff. Anyway, she texts me on WhatsApp on August 22nd, 2018. And she's like, hey, let's go canyoneering sometime, essentially. And so she suggested that we try to get some Zion permits. And so we kind of like started planning this trip over text. A few days before the trip, I decided to apply for some permits to Zion. And I applied for 6 permits to Mystery Canyon and 8 permits to Pine Creek Canyon. And these are 2 canyons I have never done before in my life. I've done a lot of canyoneering trips and I've guided canyons before that I've never done before. And so I was okay with guiding a canyon I've never done before. Okay. Anyway, so we decided to do this canyon, or we had a backup plan to do Fat Man's Misery, which is another canyon in Zion National Park. It's pretty long and exhausting, but yeah. So we end up getting the permits on the 6th, so 2 days before the event. We end up getting permits for these 2 canyons. And so we're like, what do we do? Do we want to try to do both? Do we want to do Mystery? Do we want to do Pine Creek? So I ended up inviting 2 friends, Allie, or I planned the trip with Kailani, and I'd also invited my friend Allie, and Kailani ended up inviting 4 extra people. And Allie wanted a friend to come too, so we have 7 people, and in order to do Mystery Canyon, we need 6 people. So it's kind of like a little bit of drama back and forth, trying to figure out, do we want to do Mystery Canyon because I really wanted to do it, or do we do something else? Do we split up in 2 groups? So anyways, I consider doing both canyons. I reach out to a bunch of canyoneers on the Utah Canyoneering page, and kind of was thinking we could get up super early and we could probably do both canyons. It's gonna be a long day. I also reach out to someone else that I talked to, some guy at Mountain Works, and he's like, yeah, my friend did both canyons last week. You should reach out to him. So I texted him, and then he called me back and he's like, yeah, it's totally doable. You can do both these canyons in the same day. And so that's kind of the plan, is that we'll try to do both canyons, but we still have this numbers issue where we have 7 people. And so we're kind of thinking maybe 2 people can just do like an easy hike, or like a smaller group can do an easy hike, and then some of us can do both canyons. So my friend Allie, she ends up backing out the day of the trip, or the day that we're heading to Zion in the morning. She had been dating Jacob, who was also planning on coming with her. And so she's like, yeah, Jacob might still come, but I can't come anymore. And so there's like this dating drama going on where I think they got in a fight or something. They didn't really tell me exactly what happened, but Jacob ended up calling. I was talking to him on the phone. He was excited to go. Once he found out that Allie wasn't going, he's like, I'm not going anymore. And so we now have 5 people, so we can easily do both canyons without having to split up in groups. So I head down early by myself, pick up permits, so that because we're going to have such an early start and the visitor center doesn't open until 7 a.m., we were planning on starting much earlier than that. So I head down early, all by myself, and I ended up just working for a couple hours at McDonald's using their free Wi-Fi. and then I cooked some Dutch oven dinner. After 11 p.m., my friends finally show up. They're supposed to be there by like 8 o'clock or something. And so I was just like chilling at the campground by myself for a while. It was a good time. Um, we saw some scorpions at the campsite, but we just slept under the stars anyways. So our plan for the canyon was to get up super early, 4:30. We do Mystery Canyon. You have to like drive to park your car. It's like clear on the northeast side of the park, about 45 minutes from the visitor center, kind of by where Stefan's parents' campground is, or campsite, if you guys have ever been to their property. And then, oh, whoops. And then we were gonna do, whoops, sorry guys, I skipped ahead. So we're gonna do Pine Creek afterwards, and then after we finish Pine Creek, we were gonna go to get our other car that we left behind at the first canyon. So we start up at 6 a.m. We start to enter the canyon by 7, so we start off pretty good timing. We were in the dark for the first hour or so of the hike and just use our headlamps. This is the group. So these are some, I didn't know this guy in the middle, but I'm friends with all the other ones. So Mystery is an awesome canyon, lots of rappels. I think we did about 14 rappels. Some of these things could be down climbed, like this tree right here, but we ended up doing about 14 or 15 rappels on the canyon. It's a very beautiful canyon, not much water. There's like 2 or 3 pools of water you have to go through. So we get to this point, which is the second to last rappel on this middle picture. And it's a 110-foot rappel. I have my bag right here sitting on the rock. So we're all like hunched up by the anchor kind of. And no one's like right next to my bag, and it just starts rolling away. And there's just a 110-foot drop off. But it's like in this spot where, like, in order, like if it were to fall, we would have had to like rappel down and then ascend back up the rope to get the pack. And it stopped right before the ledge. And so we got super lucky there. I had like some gear and some extra ropes in there. We might have been fine to leave the bag behind, but I would have lost my wetsuit and a bunch of other things. So that was a close call there. We finish up. This is the last rappel. It goes into the Narrows. And we make pretty good timing. I think we get into the Narrows about 2 o'clock, and we finish the Narrows at about 2:30. And then we get back to the visitor center by 3:30. And so first canyon took a long time. We started at 6, finished at 3:30. So it was a lot longer than we were expecting it to be, but we feel like we decided we wanted to still do the second canyon, even though we already had a really long day in the sun. So we end up starting Pine Creek. We had to hitchhike. We park our car at the exit. There's a tunnel on the east side of Zion, and we hitchhike. We just jump in a car with some random strangers to go through the tunnel, and then we get out and start the canyon. Pine Creek is super fun canyon. It's a lot of swimming and water. So we start the canyon at 5 o'clock, and we do a couple of rappels. We get to this point where is the craziest part of the story. So we have this guy here on the left. He's doing the first. He's the first person to rappel. I set up the anchor, and I wasn't entirely sure how long this rappel was, so I tied a stopper knot in my rope. And what the stopper knot does is if your rope is too short, kind of like Stefan's story earlier, where the rope was too short. The stopper knot's supposed to catch you so you don't like end up sliding off the rope and falling to hurt yourself. So I tied a knot at the end of the rope to prevent that from happening in case it wasn't long enough. So we all go down. We can see that in this middle picture that there's a lot of water. It's kind of deep. And then we have this picture of me on the right side. And so I'm the last person to rappel. I get down. We're trying to like hurry through this canyon because it is, it's just going to get cold if it gets dark swimming through all this water. All of the other crew members had short-sleeved wetsuits, so they got a little colder than me. Mine was also a slightly thicker wetsuit. And anyways, we get to this. I finish the rappel. I get myself off the rope, and then I start pulling the rope. And once the rope's like 15 feet above my head, I realize the knot's still there. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And so we had 3 ropes in the canyon, but only one of them was long enough to do the last 2 rappels. And it's the rope that I forgot to untie the knot on. And there's like, once that rope gets above my head, we literally have no way of retrieving it unless we can reach it. And so I'm like freaking out. So I'm sitting in this water, freezing. Well, I mean, I wasn't like freezing, but I was getting cold. And I'm like, shoot, we're gonna have to spend a night in the canyon. The fact that we started at 5 p.m., I was pretty certain that nobody else was gonna start after us because we started so late. So I was like, we're on our own. We have no way to do the last 2 rappels. We have like, these girls are freezing. What are we going to do? So my friend Connor, he's like trying to help me, like really trying to like do like piggybacking stuff, see if we can like get a little higher and reach higher, or like stand on someone's shoulders. But where I'm standing right there, like it's not flat ground. I'm like on this slab rock, and my feet are just slipping constantly. And so like I'm trying to like stand there, and I just keep like slipping under. And then we have like someone like, so the 3 guys, we have one trying to like get on someone else's shoulder while the other person's trying to hold their feet like completely underwater. And so we spend about like 10 minutes doing that. And we're like, there's no way we're getting this rope. And then after that, and so I'm like praying, just like, we need help here. We're kind of in a pickle. And my friend just like is like wading or swimming through the water, and he just finds a stick, like a huge stick underneath the water. It's like somehow he finds this massive stick. And so we're like, we have a chance. And so I get the stick, and I get like some help trying to get me as high as I can on that slab. And the stick like barely reaches the knot. But it's like hard to like hook a stick onto a knot and pull the rope back down. And so we find that I realized in my bag I have this carabiner. So like we could tie the carabiner to the stick, and then we can try to like hook the rope around the knot. And so we tried that for a while, and we put a slip knot around the stick in the carabiner. And every time we like get up there, the knot would just slip. And we're like, shoot, that's not working for us either. And then one of the girls had like a hair tie. And so we're like, we can use the hair tie, and we can like wrap the hair tie around the stick and keep the carabiner open. And so we do that. And after about 30 minutes trying to get this rope, we like finally hook the rope and like pull it down. And so we're like, yes, we can finish the canyon. And so anyways, we continue onwards. And I just wanted to see, oh, there's 2 people waiting. Sorry, guys. How do I do that? All right. I don't know if they made it in or not. Hi guys. Sorry I didn't admit you sooner. So yeah, we are stuck in the canyon or we had just been there for an extra 30 minutes than expected. So this is kind of a demo I did at some point of essentially how we fix this issue. So let's tie a slip knot, and then we just hook I used a quick draw instead of a carabiner actually, so that's why it was like so difficult to keep it open. And anyways, so we tie this knot around the stick, and then we use that to hook the rope. And so this is like an example of the knot hanging on, and we're able to like hook it around the knot and pull it down. So that's how we did it.
That is genius.
So we continue the canyon. We can see that it's like gets super dark at times. These two girls are freezing on the right. I give one of them my jacket, and we had to do the last two rappels like completely in the dark. And then we have the exit, and the exit was the longest and most miserable thing I have ever done. Even though, I mean, that scary situation earlier was also very terrible, but the exit, so it's like 2 mile exit, and it took us 3 hours to get through it. So what's going on here is we have these like house-sized boulders just like scattered all around the canyon, and then there's water like surrounding all of the boulders, and so we're just trying to like follow the river through the canyon, but we don't want to get in the water more than we need to because we're all cold. And so every time we get to one of these boulders, like we're trying to decide like, do we go right or left? And like like every time we feel like we choose the wrong way, so we like go to the right and we see it's like a 12-foot drop off. Like, oh, we went the wrong way. So we're just like walking back and forth, side to side, and it takes us 3 hours to get out of the canyon. Three of the people didn't have headlamps, and so that made it even more difficult because we had to like stay really close to each other as we're going through the canyon. So at midnight, we finally reached the car, and we started at 4:30 in the morning on the first canyon, and at midnight we get to the car. So then we still have to drive an extra 40 minutes to pick up the car at the carpool spot. And then we didn't have like a plan. Our plan was to drive home, and it's already like it's like 1 o'clock when we get to the other car. So we're like, we weren't sure what to do. So we ended up driving to Panguitch, an hour and a half. I make it about 30 minutes after picking up the car, and I'm like almost falling asleep while driving. So I had to pull over and just stop. I was like, I can't drive anymore. And then someone else started driving. We end up in Panguitch and sleep in a church parking lot. And like literally once we like turned off the car, I just like fell asleep like instantly. So yeah, that was a really crazy story. Glad we didn't die and freeze to death because that would have sucked. So yeah, that's my story. And then I'll just play this quick video of the two canyons. You guys want to see it?